catching dreams without blue skies floating by. Why are the gray clouds forming overhead? Forming overhead. I'm trying to breathe, I'm following the path mapped out from the start. Why do my dreams keep moving out of sight? Moving out of sight. Sunshine that I seek shines faintly through the smoke. Layers of fantasy, images that blind us to our lives.
Well, this is Arthur Cristian here. This is part 2 of Dancing with Magic, Dancing with Lies, or what I like to say sometimes, Dancing with Bullshit. There's been YouTube comments and people writing to us privately and by email about the video. There's been some people, which we expected, that would sort of be very worked up by the intensity of what was delivered in that video. I want to firstly stress the point that that the emotion of that was not really coming out of this man. It was more the reality of the hopelessness that this man sees. Having recognized that this man was also deep asleep for a very, very long time, and with apathy and denial, and right off in La La Land, there are many things that this man had gone through that has shaped the wisdom that this man shares with you. Not that this man wants to own the wisdom, or that I want this man to glorify, this man, because this is not about any of that. It's the reality of doing this Love for Life work that particularly got this man involved. Fiona will speak for herself about this, but I know that she's told me that she does Love for Life because she lives for the same dream that this man lives for, is that unless we inspire people around us to have freedom, truth, peace, joy, abundance, do no harm, no loss of uniqueness, originality, no slaves and rulers. I mean, everybody wants this. Everybody wants those key points. But the thing is, unless everyone around us actually has it and they're living it, then we're in the midst of hell. Because then everyone else around us is brainwashed and under that suggested thought control. And they're right off in La La Land. They're not only wanting to make slaves of our children, because with the system, to run around talk about freedom, or talk about consciousness, or to talk about truth, or to talk about going to your next life as a Christian, in the afterlife with your God, or waiting for the favourite checkup point to happen before the Galactic Federation comes with their spaceships to pick you up and take you away, or whether it's going to be because of aliens going to be coming and arriving and to offer remedies, or whether it's the economic commercial thing of Nasara. And look, there's 1,001 of these kind of things coming at us. And anyone who has a little bit of a glimpse into this world of this thought control, this brain control, you'll see there are many of them coming out of many, many liars. Many liars like Benjamin Fulford, Max Eigen, with the OPPT that we had the dealings with. You can see, if you look down in the About section of this video and in the previous part 1, you'll see the link to OPPT part 1. And other video, and from that you'll find links to other stuff that we've had dealings with Max. Now, people may think that we're angry and that we are aggressive about people like Max. It's not. We don't hate Max. There's a lot of people that we talk about in the post that you'll find on the Love for Life website. We actually don't hate them. We love them. The fact is, it's the lie that we're exposing, and people are infected by lies. And we have to remove that cancerous lies from them influencing other people. So we do what we can to reach people, to inspire them to how to live a way of life, not based on how they should live based on our expectations. It's just simply being conscious of what is harm, how we do harm, what it is to have true freedom. Because, as we explain in some of our work, that when a child is raised up by nature and no one's inside the child's head, the child is creating their thoughts. Those thoughts are dreams, and those dreams that we create, it forms the real man. And if we're all allowed to do that, we will no longer be underneath each other anymore. There won't be like man there and another man underneath and another man, and have this compartmentalized system of thought control with the wisdom keepers at the top, enslaving everyone in a pyramid type system, which is what we've got and have had since prior Rome and Babylon and all the other things that have come along over the generations of this line. See, the motivation for doing these videos is to inspire people to take that responsibility on, to start to create their dreams so they can create their true freedom. Because if they don't have their true freedom, they're not dreaming for the living man that they really are. They don't have freedom. They're enslaved in a system where they can perform the idea of that freedom or the idea of that consciousness, but it's hierarchical. And they're giving their power away to people that are those they pay taxes to, that they abide by the laws and the regulations, that make them acquiesce and comply. But the point is, it's not about the fact that we need an order. We all have to have an order, otherwise we're going to have chaos. Because this is a trick. The real truth about this is that because of the doubt and uncertainty that has been infected in us so young, we've given up taking responsibility for our lives. And when you have a collection of everyone else around you who also behave like that, you need an artificial order, a man-made order to this artificial chaos. But the chaos is engineered because everyone is educated into that chaos. It's not, you're naturally born into that chaos because we don't come self-centered. We become self-centered through the education. Now you imagine the sun shining, radiating its love outwards to everybody. And it says, oh, I want to keep those rays for me, for mine, they're mine, I want to own them. So then in this analogy, you see the rays now turning back on self, back on the ego of that self. And where the sun once was is now darkness. There's nothing. There's no life, no light. And everything in relationship to that sun has also died too. It's all gone. So in the system of this organized chaos, where everyone has been manipulated into wanting to have an order, oh, we need the police, we need the armies, we need the bureaucracies, we need the government, we need the commercial systems, is because of the doubt and uncertainty that has been infected in us so young. And we've practiced it day after day. We've practiced it. We are actually slaves practicing a slave status because we gave up responsibility to be free from another man being inside our heads. Because true freedom is when you don't have another man inside your head controlling your thinking. You're living your life out of that thinking, out of that dreaming. So what I'm getting at here is that I'm driven, this man is driven to break this down, to break this kind of brainwashing down, to inspire people to become free from that, because in doing that, they become free from, well, they actually free our children, they free our lives because they're not putting the pressure on us to comply to a system where they have the order that they want because they feel safe in that pretentious third-party fake reality, the matrix. So this man's inspired to help others dream for that freedom that they're going to create uniquely out of their dreaming through direct experience with nature. And if everyone has that freedom, has that consciousness that they've created uniquely, then this man's living in paradise because we've all got it. But at the moment, it's the other way around. And this is at the gut of what really at times can piss me off, at the times where I feel like I need to come with a baseball bat and try and hammer with the baseball bat to make sense with people, because people are so lost to the sense they don't realize that they still want the government. They still want the commercial system. They still want to have freedom, the idea of a freedom within a society. They still think that the society is good for us. And I'm saying to them, but you don't get it. You still need everyone else out there brainwashed. You need to line up all the children. I said, well, you've got to mark them with an X. Each of them has to be given the opportunity inside that supermarket I was telling you about in part 1. Okay, I'm going to become a lawyer. Oh, I'm going to become a doctor. Oh, I'm going to become a social worker. I'm going to become a counselor or a psychiatrist. Oh, I'm going to be that. But the thing is, these are not freedoms that the child is creating as they've been raised up in the system, because there is no freedom in the system. There's only choice. You only ever have choice in the system. And where there's choice, there is no freedom. There isn't. When you walk in the supermarket, you only have choice. You do not have freedom. When people communicate and talk about freedom out there, people like Mark Darwin, or we've had run-ins with, and I could go on and on with many of these kind of people. We asked them, whose freedom are you talking about here? Whose freedom? They can't answer it, and they won't answer it, because they know that putting the idea of a freedom in someone else is not their freedom. It's just the concept of an idea of freedom that someone else is now projecting in third party, where they're putting the ego into it, like a child with Alice in Wonderland performing Alice. They're now projecting the ego into the, like imagine like a bubble. It's actually like a balloon. We blow air into a balloon. These ideas are like we're blowing consciousness, our consciousness into the lie of a balloon, and then we have to project our ego into it, which is like the big mirror I was talking about in the Matrix. And in there, they're trapped in the performance of the idea of a freedom, which is what Zeitgeist is all about, and Thrive. This is what David Icke talks about with consciousness. You'll see this all through the free men sovereignty movements. You'll see it in the alternative movements. You'll see it in the permaculture movements. You'll see it in the free, in the raw food, living food movement. You see this stuff trickling all the way through. David Wolf does this. He peddles this nonsense. And Health Ranger does it with his natural news and all the other stuff. You see it. And the point is, it is not your freedom. It is not your consciousness. It never has been your freedom, and it never will be your consciousness. And while you're trapped in it, you need the system for you to perform it, because it belongs in the system. As an example, to be a Christian, you need the system that forms Christianity, which means you need a lot of people conditioned into being a Christian, who act as Christians, as lawyers and doctors and all that sort of stuff, priests in church. You have to construct the physical manifestations of these dead things, because we have to destroy nature to build these dead things we call churches and temples and mosques and synagogues. But in there are all broken down men, women and children. They're not free. They're in the performance of the concepts and constructs where they directed all their life energy into that bubble, into that balloon, into the mirror, the matrix. And the energy of their life force energy collected with everyone else who's been doing it through the generations too, seduces them, because they're sensing brothers and sisters around them. They're still sensing nature all around them, but they haven't worked out that the collective directives, everyone who's giving their energy to these ideas, is seduced everyone into being a Christian. So you've got to take children very young. You've got to mark them X and turn them into Christians, or Jews, or Muslims, or atheists, or whatever, scientists. And then from there, they have to become the cogs in the wheels of that system. So the wheels are turning, so that the whole system is turning. The public service, the bureaucracy, the commercial animation of fictional dollars, and on it goes. So to be a Christian is to dream for slavery, because you need slaves. You cannot have any unique original child enter Christianity, because they have to be brainwashed into the Bible. They have to be brainwashed into some kind of holy book, which means third-party education, explanation, instruction, suggestion, coming from outside them into their heads, over and over and over and over again, and they practice it and they practice it, and it becomes the practiced rituals, the practiced crafts of Freemasonry, where they are projecting the concepts and constructs of Christianity. And you can have a whole life of slaves, happily working as slaves, all fighting for the system. They all want the system. They bleed for the system. They'll fight for the system. They'll murder for the system. Because they're so bonded with it. They don't think there's any other way to be. They don't realize that the brainwashing goes much deeper than their supposed belief, faith in Jesus and the afterlife and God. And the side programs of this is also horrendous, because people who have been conned to believe in the time and space constructs of a past and a future, because all lies require time codes. And because the idea of a time means you can accept the idea of BC and whatever history is written back then, and you could be reading it in in today's times and projecting those images in here and present sense, so that we actually fall under the image power of the storytelling set to the time codes of the holy book, any holy book, any religion, any belief system, and give it so much power that it actually rules us here and now in present sense. And so you end up with Christians who live their whole life knowing they've been saved, that they actually gave up full responsibility here and now in present sense. They gave it up for the system which allowed the Freemasons who manufactured this all the power. They gave them all the power to them, because they act as the priests. They act as the authorities in government. They act as the board of directors in all the critical areas of corporations that make up the system world, because they're like organs and glands of the beast. Like a body, we have organs and glands and blood flowing and all that. Well, the whole beast that is the system does work like that, but it needs man to do everything, because the beast can't do anything, because it's just make-believe fantasy. So this man works hard to wake you up. If you're a Christian, you're a good man, good woman. It doesn't mean that you're evil. You've just been tricked into accepting the system. And that's what I'm here for, to destroy it, to encourage you to let it go, because you need everyone else brainwashed. And you only do that because you doubt. You doubt the magnificence of the Creator that gave you that magnificence. You sold out so young that you don't realize you've been sucked into it. Now this goes for anyone who's under any faith or belief, because even under Judaism, it's still the system. It requires a production line of drones we call children. Put them on the conveyor belt so they run through factory planet Earth. Boom, 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 process them. Out they come, popping out. Perfect manufactured drones. 20 years in the education system, university, to come out and be total drones running around. Yeah, I'm a Jew, meaning I am a representative of slavery. I live in a world of slaves, and I support slavery so that I can live my life as a slave. I do not have any unique original dreams. This goes for a Buddhist, Australian. This goes for this man, for most of this man's life, being told that he was Greek and he's an Australian. We are all seduced into these lies. And if we don't rout out those things that are so close to the truth, but it's still a lie, we are perpetually supporting slavery. Because behind everything of the systems, of belief, faith, and associated opinion, doesn't matter what the experiences you've had, if you have the system in your life while you're experiencing that, you're actually experiencing the COINTELPSYOP programming of those who conditioned you to act in that way, because you're projecting the storytelling of whatever it is you believe in to perform under the guise of the ego as that all-seeing eye, because that's all you see. You see what you believe. You know, if you're Gothic, you dress up as Gothic because that's what you see. You're all seeing that. If you're a punk rocker, you dress up as that. If you're a Christian, you act up and you dress and you behave in that way because it's a model. It's fashion for you. You went to the supermarket as a choice and took it. You didn't create that uniquely for your unique dreams. You took it on. And because it has a lot of morally correct truths within it, you think, oh, well, the whole thing must be true. But the great deceivers, the greatest liars, will do that to you. But they won't tell you about the system that comes with it, where they get all the power. Because while they have the system, they have the covert means of controlling everyone underneath them. And they are all the chosen ones. They are the brethren. They believe they go right back. They really believe they're it. They're the Israelites. They can call themselves whatever they want to call them. ISIS, Ra, El. They're all orders and sects and fraternity societies of Freemasonry. They're all the different organs and glands that work together that makes the system, because the Bible is the tool of the system. The Bible is the means to destroy the uniqueness and originality of every man, woman, well, basically children, because we'll grow. Grow up because we need to be explained into the Bible. We have to be explained into ABC 1, 2, 3. We have to be suggested into these things. So while we are under the influences of that spelling, and I'll just point out to you, every word is a right. And when we learn to spell the letters to form words, we're practicing the spelling, because we're under the spell, because we have to practice being under the spell. And if you look at the whole language, we talk English all day, every day. We read English all day, every day. We see English all day, every day. We hear English all day, every day. We do everything with English all day, every day, or any other read and write alphabet language. And you've got to remember that we're absorbed by it all day, meaning that the whole world that we're in has been explained to us instant by instant by instant. Who we really are ain't there. And while that's been explained to us, it's like link within links, within links, within links, and it's a perpetual spelling of spells. And we're totally and utterly brainwashed. Now that's the Bible for you. And that's everyone who breaks the first commandment as well, that we mentioned in part 1. Because the thing is that we're all unique and original, not one the same as the next. That's what it's meant to be. And we're not supposed to desecrate that. But we do it the moment we get inside a child's head and start explaining to them. It doesn't matter what the reason is, what justification we come up with. The moment we start doing it, we're telling them they're not magnificent anymore. That the magnificence of living Creator, of the whole of creation, we have to give that up. We have to forsake it. We cannot be unique and original anymore. We must be under the image power of another man. So we're educated into English. And we form a whole life of talking, reading, seeing, watching English. Now that's the program running you as a drone. That's the program runs through the Bible. It runs through the Torah and the Talmud, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran. It runs through all the New Age bullshit. It runs through all forms of atheism, system science. You see it. It's all in third party. There is no direct sensory experience there. It never has been and never will be, because it's make-believe. It's like Alice in Wonderland. You know, Alice is not present with the presence of life. You cannot sense Alice, and never will. Little Mary who performs, little Mary being the living, all of us, we can sense little Mary. Little Mary has the presence of life, so we can touch, taste, feel, smell, hear, see little Mary. And as she's living, she has free will, her consciousness, to dream the life that little Mary's creating. And it will remain sacred if we don't interfere with her dreaming. But if we start putting thoughts in her head, she ain't creating her dreams. Another way to look at this is imagine a sandpit. And this is mentioned on the homepage of the Love for Life website for those who might have already come across it. I'm going to quickly explain it. Imagine the man, the grand architect who dreamt this scam, you know, that many call Satan, because he's a man, he's not a fallen angel, because that's all nonsense as well. It's all storytelling, projection, placebo effects, Stockholm syndromes that we create, and we bond with these image powers that we get seduced into of our own doing. You imagine a sandpit, and every thought in that sandpit is a grain of sand, made up by another man. There's not a single thought in there that's a grain of sand that you created. But they get you as the baby, they pick you up and they drop you into that sandpit. And they're going to throw some buckets and shovels and trowels and other tools in, and they're going to say, right, for the rest of your life, we want you to create your life out of this. Because this is all you're going to know. We're going to provide you with everything. It's all going to be explained, suggested to you. And we grow up like this. And we can spend our whole lives in a world where who we are ain't even there. And we still think that we're doing the right thing. Because we still are living, we have living conscious hearts. But we haven't used this scrutiny. We haven't used this to realize the nonsense. Another way of looking at it is, imagine an ant colony, busy doing what ants do, living the purpose of ant life. And someone comes along and says, hi guys, look, I've got a new program for all of you. It's called individuals. You can all become individuals. Each of you can now have your own politically correct truth. You can go off to become a scientist, lawyer, barrister, judge. You can go off and be an adventurer, do whatever you want. He's not going to explain to you that it actually is the system he's offering the ants. And he's going to make it sound magical and wondrous and mysterious, that it's enchanting, it's seducing the ants. And the ants go, yeah, this is great, yeah. And so the ants begin to accept the education that comes from this man to retrain the ants. Eventually, through the whole ant colony, all the ants are running off doing their individual things, as we see today in the system. Everyone's off doing their thing. And most of them, if not nearly all of them, have forgotten who they really are. They're no longer ants anymore. There's something else that isn't an ant. Same with man. We're not a man anymore. We're a type of man, a kind of a man, but we're not a man. We're like a colour of a man or a shade of a man. Or in fact, it's the reflection of a man in the mirror. But it's not us. Because that's the sandpit. That's all the explanation put into our heads that we're projecting. So while all the ants are busy doing what they're doing and they've forgotten being ants, there's no one looking after the ant world anymore. And in fact, they're not even looking after the ant children or the ant elderly. And so everything starts to fall apart until the whole thing collapses and all the ants go with it and none of them remain. This is what's become of us. So this man's motivated to inspire all of us that we all have our unique original dreaming. We're meant to have our unique original dreaming, where we're not to be underneath another man. And when we do that, we're conscious and we are so alive that we would never dream to harm anything or covet anything. We wouldn't know what jealousy was anymore because we are so magnificent. We're so enriched, we have everything. When we know who we are, we're not worrying about tomorrow or yesterday anymore because we're so present. We've already got the air we breathe. The sun is still shining. Nature's still producing. And everything that's living is still doing what it's doing. And we've got everything. Everything. But in the system, as a Christian, or under any belief, you have doubt. And so you believe in tomorrow. And the fear of the time codes of tomorrow. I have to work. I've got to have a mortgage. I've got to save money. I've got to get myself set up so that we retire with our pension plans, so that we have some kind of nest egg. This is not freedom, guys. This is not freedom at all. There's a whole world of slaves behind that. And so everyone out there who's pushing Thrive and Zeitgeist and One Earth and One World and New World Order, it doesn't matter what it is this shit. You cannot create the New World Order without a world of brainwashed men, women and children, because they've all been educators, billions of us today, all in the English spelling, word after word after word, forming sentences, sayings and phrases and whatever. We form paragraphs and chapters, and they become the books, the his story and the her story, and the acts, and we're acting. And that's where the Shakespeare thing comes in, where every thing about the world is a stage, and we're just actors. And it's true, we're acting in third party, and we're possessed by another man inside us, because that sandpit that's formed our language has just absorbed all our waking life, because we're under that spell, and we talk it and we think it, because it's all explained, everything, and we're gone, lost. So if you can sense the truth of this, you'll sense where this man's coming from and why we got to stop, because if we don't free each other up from this nightmare, the New World Order will be pulled off, which will mean earth-wide destruction, and very few of us will be around. The payload behind that is monumental. When you get a whole lot of man who gives up being man. See, the thing is that there's a few things here to look at too. These people came as missionaries, scientists, botanists, surveyors, and amongst tribes all across Earth who couldn't read and write anything, because they had their own tongue, their own songs of life and nature, and they had their own ways of living. And the Freemasons came as, the geologists and surveyors and historians, and they're recording history books, and they came as the military, and they came as particularly missionaries. They came as priests, and they came as all kinds of people, and they documented everything, where all the tribes lived, the way they lived. They could have come and gone for a few hundred years, recording everything. And when they finished doing this, they then set their warships and armies in to decimate all the tribes. And what remained were children who were then brainwashed into English or any other read and write alphabet language, so they could be put under this spell. And we are those descendants, because we're all in the spelling. So our descendants have been spelling too. So that was up to roughly 1780 AD in their books that they've been doing this. And the fact is that that the only ones who could read and write to record his story, her story, were the owners of the castles, the high priesthoods, the aristocrats, all their landlords, land barons, all their scribes and lackeys. They're the only ones who could do it. No one else could. All of us, 99.99% of the total population of man, even up to, I was saying about 1780 AD, up to 1930 AD, still more than 90% were illiterate to alphabet languages. Still illiterate. This is not long ago, right? 70 years ago, 80 years ago, roughly. They couldn't record his story. So you had to be privileged. You're given exclusivity and benefits, and you spent up to 20 years mastering the craft of read and write alphabet language, which you had to learn mathematics because it came with commerce. And that is what a Freemason goes through to become a Freemason. The brainwashing they go under, the power of the snake is intense. And then they become the educators, because they are the illumined ones. They're illuminating education, because they're illuminating the dreaming of the snake into everybody else's lives, so everyone else could fall under the image power, the illumination of the snake, which is the system. And all the religions were created by these people. Everything that's a construct or concept that's not coming from direct experience out of nature that inspires man has been dreamt up by one of our brothers, the grand architect that they worship as their founding father, who was influenced by is the snake. We would assume that they all worshipped him, not knowing who he was. And to this day, they probably still don't know who it was. So everything you're thinking is only the sandpit. All the history books is the sandpit. All the movies, all the education we're given, it's the sandpit. You're still in there. There's that child. You're still a Babylon. That's what Babylon is, Babylon. And you live your whole life as a baby because you're a ward of the state. Because when you sell out who you are, when you give up your magnificence for doubt and uncertainty, you become a person, a straw man, a third party. And your whole life has now been explained to you because you have given up the responsibility to create your life, your true dreaming. So all Christians are in Babylon. All Jews are in Babylon. And the semantics of all this goes all through it. So it doesn't matter where you go in the system, it's the sandpit. That whole sandpit with you in there still playing as a baby is that big mirror we're talking about in part 1, where you're projecting your ego into the matrix and energizing it with your life force energy to empower all the phantoms and apparitions that make up the thought forms of ABC 1, 2, 3 and all the ideas, because that's how you form Alice in Wonderland. You got to learn to spell. From the spelling, you get to learn general meanings of words so you can form sentence structures. So you can then learn to start having conversations so that the conversation of the spelling continues moment by moment for your whole waking life. So you can spell the system, project it. You're spelling it. And we're so fucked in the head. We are so bamboozled. Our brains are totally lobotomized. We are discombobulated. We're so distracted. And we're so disempowered, disorientated. And the trauma comes out of this is extensive. So there's no chance for anyone to wake up in there unless some of us reach in. This is why we do these videos. We bring the light into the darkness. The light is our intent, our consciousness. It isn't the video you watch. It's sensing this man's breath as this man breathes out, because that breath is to you. You can sense this man's life. If you tune in, you'll sense this man, where he's coming from. If you just listen to the nonsense, this man will not be on your radar, because what will be on your radar will be your storytelling formed by all your life experience, which is all out of those destructive emotions. And you'll be projecting the idea of this man on your radar. And this man won't be there. It's you putting it there. And you will believe that what you're projecting there is this man. And you'll try to impersonate this man when you do. This is what Intel does. You'll try to get this man to be dragged. You're going to try and kidnap this man, seduce this man, try and steal this man, to put me under the image power of your blimp in your radar, where all that shit is in the matrix. And that's how we fell, and that's how we keep falling, because we're lost in spelling. So if you sense this man, you'll sense the breath. Because every time we breathe out, we are setting into motion the thoughts and the dreams of this man, of this man's life. And you can sense it all across creation, anywhere, all of us. There's no time and space with this. It's instant. Instant. Our speed of thought is faster than any time and space constructs. And we actually can shift consciousness through the water of our breath too, and we can do everything. This is our true gift. But we've given it all up for the prosthetics we call mobile phones and remote control. That's why we do remote viewing on television, and we have motor cars, because we gave up our ability and with nature to work with nature to allow us to move, and we can shift our bodies. There's all kinds of possibilities we've got. But it's done through pure unconditional love consciousness. It's not done through the ego and the willpower of directed into the ego. It doesn't work that way. It's very limited. The bandwidth of that opportunity is so narrow, it's a joke. So when you sense this man and you realize that here you're listening to the soul of this man, you'll sense the dreaming to bring light, bring truth of this into your life so you can make sense of it. You got to use your brain. We don't want you to believe what we say when Fiona and I are talking. Don't believe anything. Don't listen to the words coming out of our mouths. I mean, try to make sense of the pictures we are projecting through the spelling of English. Because if you sense it, you get past the matrix. You get outside of the sandpit. And you can start to tune in. And then you'll begin to start using your brain again if you're sensing it. And you'll be able to start to navigate a way out of the matrix in this life. Because you've got to get out of there. Because it is absolute annihilation is before us if we don't. Our kids will be gone. Most of us. The way we look at it, it'll be like that. Just gone. And we don't even know that we're gone. Because everyone is so deep asleep, they're not even here. They're not present. They're already gone. And they're dreaming everything in that way. So they're gone. All the Freemasons will go like this. All of them. Gone. Wouldn't matter how many tunnels they're making, how far underground they go, what they do. Their lying dream follows them wherever they go. And unless they purge completely of all this, which means they've got to spend their whole lives fixing this damage and bringing unconditional love back everywhere, they're gone. And anyone who follows these Pied Pipers are committing spiritual suicide, because that is what the annihilation, that's what destruction is. When we're under the spelling, we're actually witnessing the death of our soul. We're going through the dying process of our soul. That's what you call cities and skyscrapers and concrete and plastic and steel and destruction to mountains and all that. You're watching decay before your eyes. As the sickness becomes, when you get cancer and obesity and all these things that we go through, it is the cancer of our soul dying. That's what is really going on. We're all dying. We have to stop this. We have to stop this. See, when the tribes were invaded by the Freemasons and they brought their education with, and everyone started putting the spelling, they started creating colonies. These colonies started introducing banking, law, courts, authority. It came with aristocracy, and with it the system sciences, all the occults and esoterics, all of it's absolute bullshit. Government, church, religions. Basically what you know today evolved from every tribe that was put into a colony controlled by the Freemasons. They were behind the Spanish conquistadors. They were behind the British Empire. They were behind the Spanish Empire, the French Empire. All the bloodlines of all of those Europa connections are all of the same bloodlines. The German bloodline connections that have the Greek connections that are in the House of Windsor and the Merovingian bloodlines that people talk about. It's not Illuminati, guys. It's just this is the original tribe where one of their own members stepped into the forest and fucked them over. And they did. They all got fucked in the head, and they've been psychotic ever since, and they lost it. And they've been continue to listen to this voice until recent times. Probably it's all stopped. That's what we've been assuming it's stopped, but we got no guarantee if that's the case. We're not going to sit around waiting for some saviour to come along and fix this problem, because it ain't going to be fixed. We have to fix it. We have free will. We have to stop it. So we have to confront these people. It means you got to overcome fear of death, fear of ridicule and abuse and all the other stuff they throw at you, which is what we've experienced for 10 years already. You know, Fiona being kidnapped in helicopters above the house, many helicopters. We've had surveillance. We've had up to 16 police come here twice, you know, with sheriffs and all that, over a $10 fine. Oh, sorry, it was we refused to vote, and we got a small fine of, I think it was $60 or something, and another was a very small fine because one of the dogs wasn't registered because the family relocated from when we used to be in Sydney and then the beach and the family home to out here, and so people didn't believe how corrupt the system was, so we used it as guinea pigs. We used our lives as guinea pigs, and we did this for 3 years. And you'll find that on the home page, the Fiona Christian versus State Debt Recovery Office, SDRO. You'll go and find it. It's a big read. You'll see all the photos in there. You'll see just how far. They've probably spent up to $500,000 to get back. Not even $100. No joke. Because it's all about authority, and you acquiesce in complying. Now, with these colonies, they then became like regional areas, like we have now here in New South Wales. You know, the colony became the colony of Sydney, and it had its government and all that. And then other colonies started appearing. Eventually, it grew to become the state of New South Wales, where all these colonies of that state, the psycho state and on the land of the lost, and that became a state government. From that, we had the state of Victoria, state of Queensland. This has happened in America. This has happened all over Earth, this shit, guys. And from that, we ended up with a national government. And with all these colonies, of all these men and women, all being brainwashed, all spelling, all living in the system, all working with the currency of that commercial animation, which is a curse. All they're doing is processing curses. There's nothing else going on. There's no money. Nothing else is happening, guys. It's just processing a curse of our fallen state where we gave up our magnificence to be underneath another man, to be ruled by another man. Because there's only really two lies we have to be concerned about here. The first and only and greatest lie is the fact we gave up our magnificence for a lie. The second lie, the major one, is the New World Order, which is all of man across earth trapped under the first lie and accepting unanimously, everyone, the remedy of the New World Order. These are the two lies. But it means absolute death for everybody who falls into this scam. The other thing about the colonies and that is that you've got to look at the way the commerce, the banking systems work, because the banking started in little colonies and it grew until it became a reserve bank, and then a Federal Reserve Bank, which is what happened in Australia and happened in America. But what you got are just clusters of brainwashed drones conditioned into race, culture, creed of those times, who created progeny, created the descendants, their children, through their children, which we are those descendants. And so from there, we're in this mess today. It's a gradualism, because see, they had to gradually seduce man into accepting a one world image power system of a matrix for all of man to be under. And it's going to pull in all the Christians, all the Muslims, all the Jews, all the New Agers, all the atheists, everyone. And there will be a major culling in all of this. But what the Freemasons don't realize, that as they go through these motions, they all start dying as well. They will all just drop dead. No joking. They're all going to start. A fire will race through their brains. It's like a psychotic disease, and it's so intense that their brain actually burns and the whole nervous system shuts down. It happens like that. Everyone, from Obama, Abbott, leader of all the politicians, all areas, all going to die. You watch it. It's all going to, before your eyes, you're going to see them just start dropping off left, right and centre. But it's also going to spread out, this raging fire. A man-made psychotic disease born out by fantasy and delusion, given so much power. Because everybody is saying that we are not a man, that we are not present, that we gave that up. And the more we entertain the matrix, the more we entertain government, the more we entertain commerce, the more we do this, and the more the harm we all participate in, the greater our presence is being removed. And the dreaming is so powerful that the collective consciousness, or what we call unconsciousness, gone. This man lives for that. Because see, what this man says is, you have free will. You have every right to dream whatever you choose because you've got free will. I'm not better than you. You have a right to experience it. This man allows you to experience the processing of your curse so you can experience the outcomes you're dreaming for in this life. This man holds it all in this life. And there are many others doing this now. That's how powerful we are, guys. That's how big the responsibility is we each have. We don't want them to die. They're all our brothers and sisters. They're just misguided, as we've all been. But that's their choice. You get what you dream for, guys. We all get it, what we dream for. We give up unconditional love, and we sell out for the lies of explained love and explained freedom and explained consciousness and explained truth, because all Freemasons have to be explained. They get them young. Their whole world is through third party. Everything's explained. All those who are now dragging into the OTO and getting conditioned to the courses, it's all spelling. They've come from factory planet Earth. They're on the conveyor belt. They never left it. They keep thinking there's something there in the mysteries. Let me tell you, there is no fucking mysteries, guy. There never has been mysteries about anything. The lie has been made out to look like a mystery. There is nothing there. Nothing. Unless you dream for the living man that you are, you won't wake up and you'll be lost in the enchantments of these supposed mysteries where you're that drone thinking you're digging down in the rabbit warren. Watch out that you don't follow these Pied Pipers. Franco Collins is a Pied Piper. Santa Bonaccio mentions a Pied Piper. Anyone who is peddling this nonsense are Pied Pipers. And they've all made their bed in the system. So everything about their lives defaults to the system, into hell. And everyone who influences them, they also follow that. They default the whole of their lives in the system. So when you follow Jesus, you're defaulting your whole of your life in the system, because all the priests behind Jesus are all those who represent it. Doesn't matter if you're a pastor or not. You default to the system because you wake up and go to bed to the clock under the spelling. You're all fucking lying to each other. You're destroying every child. And every Christian who puts their child into this abomination is destroying them. They're ritually putting onto their temples, please sacrifice my child. Please murder them. And the Freemasons do it because in their rituals of that, they do it. They actually do it. There's a lot of children get tortured for this stuff. They're called bloodletting and blood libel. Because the trauma of the torture is to be captured, put into these bubbles that you call demons, and they put the trauma into the spelling of those rites. So when you spell letters, you take on the demon of their imagining. But they don't give you full disclosure they're doing this. And they take the blood of these tortured kids. They put implements around their necks and they torture them to death. And just when they're about to go, lose complete consciousness, they release it. While they're doing that, they're putting implements into their heart. And they put other things in their body. They can even put many implements all through their bodies. Look at Darkness Visible, part 1A and part 5. You'll find them on the home page of the website. I'll put the link below down in this video. The torture, the trauma of the children they kidnap, the teenagers, the adults, millions of them, guys, they go missing. They take them. Most of them get put into this. It's like a meat factory of hell, an abattoir of death. And they come, and they have their temples and altars, and they do these horror things. And all that trauma is what they used to fashion alphabets. And from alphabets, that's spelling. Because when you put a child through the spelling, they're not just taking on the letters that they're spelling. They take on the intent of the creators of that dreaming. Which means they're invoking. They're like incantations of witchery, witchcraft, black magic, to invite in a demon to possess them. Because to remember A, you have to be possessed by a demon. It's an unnatural means of storing something that we now call the subconscious. It actually is the ego, because the subconscious and the ego are demons. They're demonic thought forms. There's nothing natural about a subconscious because it can't come forward as a first party. It doesn't live as part of nature. You can't go and visit the subconscious, like you can't go and visit ABC 123 or any constructs, concepts come out of it, because it doesn't. It needs men and women already brainwashed to explain to innocent children, which is why we get them so young, bring them into the production lines of all the main religions, and the new one world religion that they're working on now. But it comes out of ritual sacrifice, guys, because they needed the trauma so that when you have been spelled and you've been brought up, you sense the trauma. When you see the flashing lights of the police car and it says police, you feel that trepidation. Oh, authority. This is not a natural feeling, guys. There's no unconditional love in this. It's trauma. I've got to acquiesce. When you see the letter in the mail and it says electricity come with a bill or a tax bill, or you get a phone call, or you get police come knock on your door, you feel the trauma. It comes from sacrificing children, your brothers and sisters. The horror that you are experiencing is the horror of those who are tortured and murdered for you to be under that spell of those trauma. And this is what's going on. Now you can get it more into that, into Darkness Visible, that series that we put up, and maybe we'll do some more on this later on in other videos. But the point is, it requires the trauma for you to bond with the ego, because you're creating a fantasy, a reflection of who you think you are, and you fall in love with this reflection. And you enter into the reflection, which is the system, because your whole world is a spelling. Because the reflection is built out of the sandpit of your life of being explained everything to you, that the snake of Adam and Eve has suggested. And you're projecting that out because you have been educated into the whole history. So you can see the whole system in that way. And you're part in it. But you don't realize what's happened to you, or most of us. So we bring light. We argue, we're using scrutiny. We argue with everybody, not to hurt anybody, but to expose the truth. And if they stop and think out, if you stop and think what's being said, it's critical that you don't carry all these belief systems of all these spellings, which is all this trauma that puts you in denial and apathy. And if something comes along and you are a Christian and you're brainwashed and you're newborn or what, doesn't matter, old born, newborn, who cares? And you think you've got the right one. And something else comes along to tell you the truth. And it doesn't fit into the spelling of your belief system. You're in denial. You just push it away. No, that's wrong. It's evil. That man is lying. Or whatever. Just reject it. That trauma of the ritual sacrificing of children, where the priests were singing songs while they were torturing the victims to death to capture their souls in jars, with the intent to create this kind of emotional behavior. So that through the spelling you take on the demons of these behaviors. And you've been fucked over with. Deeply. So deeply. The black hole goes very deep. Because we practiced it and we've energized it. We've given so much power to this. Because we keep giving our life energy to this. So those of you who can make sense of what this man's sharing with you, you put your belief system to one side and put it to the test of scrutiny. Stack it up. All your beliefs. Put it to the test of scrutiny and see how does it stack up. And you'll find that it's all nonsense. And if it's nonsense, you know it's bullshit. Because it's all in third party. And it's all come from storytelling, and they're just the echoes that are bouncing in between your ears, which is part of what you call your subconscious or your ego, that you're projecting, that you're reflecting, and you're bathing in it because you love swimming in it like a goldfish in a fishbowl. The child in the sandpit. All of us trapped in the matrix doing it, of that storytelling. That's why you got to educate your kids to be good Christians. You're destroying them. You're murdering them. Because the satanic priests who created the religions were murdering children to get you to murder your children. But you weren't smart enough to see exactly. And that's why the whole of the system is all about, I love you. I love God, but I'm going to destroy God. I love you, but I'm going to destroy you. I love nature, but I'm going to destroy nature. I love my friends, but I'm going to destroy them. I love Arthur, but I'm going to destroy Arthur. Because the trauma is so powerful, because it is our belief systems. And the ego, we've energized it with so much power that the bonds we have to the ego and the matrix is greater than the living. So if a man like this comes along, put your belief system to one side here and put it up to the test of scrutiny. Use logic. And see if we are lying to you. That's what we said here. Prove that we are lying to you. Don't bring forward a belief system, because it means that you are little Mary bringing forward Alice in Wonderland, acting as Alice. There's no point bringing forward the Bible, because the Bible is not living. There's no God there. You've energized it for so long. You've created demons within demons within demons within your spelling of this huge Bible that you've fallen into, and you gave this satanic demon so much power, it possesses you. And you think it's who you are. With every other Christian who thinks that's who you are, or Jews, or anything to do with race, culture, creed. And you think that's who you are. Look at the right one. So the thing is, there's no right one or wrong one. The truth hasn't anything to do with right or wrong. The truth has always been the truth. It's never ever been a lie. So there can never be a right or a wrong. It's whole. W-H-O-L-E. It's whole, and it has always been whole. It's still whole before us. The lie has always been a lie. But people think that somehow lies have somehow been transferred to truths, or have come from truth to lies back to truths. Only the intel networks and all their false "we will lead every revolution against us" liars are doing this to you. Freemasons get initiated into the crafts of their brethren from other generations who invented the religions of like Christianity and all the methods. And they become the intellectuals, the Michael Tellingers, the David Icks, the Mark Pazios, another one who does this, a very clever Freemason. There's many of them, guys. They know the secrets, they know the knowledge of all the answers, and they reveal all the truth of it because they want you to trust them. Because they're not going to tell you the truth of how the deception works. They want you to believe in them so that you'll follow them as the rats into the New World Order. Because they're all going to point to the New World Order. All of them will sing together the remedy for the New World Order. Watch out. It's the death of everyone, including them. The lie is death. The system is death. There's no living there. There's no true consciousness there. The more we amplify it, the more we're dying. The more we fall. The more the chaos, the more we die. The more everything. They have no remedy. None of them have got any remedy. I'm going to make another video probably tomorrow, and I'm going to read out stuff that's been posted on YouTube and on Facebook. And that'll help me to zoom into lots of things that I may be forgetting as I ramble on, because I ramble on. But a lot of people I know like Arthur rambling on, so I ramble on, but I'm not lying to you. You got to prove that I'm lying to you. Until you can actually prove that I'm lying to you, you got to take very seriously what we're saying. Because we go where truth takes us, and we don't own it. We worked hard to go with that. We had to use scrutiny to work it out. So until I get that up and running, I just want to wind this up, because one of the reasons for making this one was to point out that the intention behind this man is to get you, the listener, you, the reader, you, the viewer, to start using your sense. Use your senses, because that's where the dreaming of the real man is. Your real thoughts are there. Your real life is there in your senses, because no one can impersonate it. And to learn to recognize the nonsense, because that is the sandpit. That's the trauma. And I'm going to talk in one of these videos, part 2, part 3, part 3 or part 4, whatever, because I'm going to make a few of these, because I want to wind this work up. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to leave these videos out there and get back into the remedy of kingdom and doing music and putting it out and reaching people that way. So I want to get more into the trauma and how people have relationships and how these relationships are so fake, and why we have so much difficulty working together, why we find it so hard to come together. Now, if any of you want to dive into our articles and go deep into it, there's a sequential order of Love for Life debates, discussions, stuff that's on the homepage. You can go and find it. It's at the bottom of any web page throughout the website. It's right down there. You can just start clicking. All the stuff during 2014, right up until now. It's video. It doesn't matter if you spend months in this or weeks. Get your head around so you learn the difference between sense and nonsense, between first party and third party. and really get it. Because if you don't, the trauma will bind you to the belief systems, and you'll cling to it and cling to it, and you'll be that rat that goes to this New World Order. And you want my children to go there too. Because nobody can have an explained freedom, or an explained consciousness, or an explained Jesus, or an explained Allah, or an explained Buddha, or explained Galactic Federation, or anything explained, without the system coming with it. It all comes with the system. You cannot have the system without it. So you cannot pull off the New World Order without everyone already brainwashed across it to be prepared to accept it. Because they're spelling English, and you are in the spelling of English. So they are the master puppeteers, pulling at the strings of your belief under the spells of the trauma that bind you to it, and they're leading you along them to the New World Order, along to your death. All of them are doing it. They're all brilliant storytellers. The lie is storytelling. All of us have been lies, and lies within lies. So if you love government, you love slavery. If you still want government, under any guise, you want to perpetuate slavery. If you still want commerce under any version, you still want slavery. You want lots of children lined up to be marked and brainwashed, to become the blue collars and white collars, the slave, to perform everything in the system for you to have what you believe that you want from it. Which means you're still not taking full responsibility to be the true man, to be the true free man on the land, which you're meant to be, all of us. So watch out for all the sovereigns out there who are pushing sovereignty, because it's fake, because it's the system under another guise. The whole free man movement is this as well. The whole consciousness movement that's coming under Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle's another scammer. He may be innocent, but doesn't realize that what he's promoting is the system. To have the kind of conscious he talks about can only work in the system. It's not the conscious that's outside of the system. See, Eckhart Tolle made his bed in the system. Everything about Eckhart Tolle's life is in the system. Same as Deepak Chopra and same as all the Pied Pipers, all the lies. Everything is defaulted to the system. Is that where you want to go? Do you want your children to be slaves? You want the world to be the way it is still now, but only worse next time. Because you're going to have totally discombobulated men, women and children who think that they're conscious and that they're free, when they're totally Stepford wife drones, Stepford husband drones, gone. And they won't make it, because there's no future. Because where there's no life, there's no future there, because there's no life that can continue on with a lie. So all these lies that are trying to suck the living into those lies are going to death, because there's no life to continue on with, guys. There's nothing there. While we're sitting around blaming the government, blaming the politicians, we are giving up responsibility. When you wake up, you don't blame anyone anymore for anything. You've got to learn to take responsibility and start being a gift of life and start projecting that. You've got to change the way you're thinking. You've got to learn to set everyone free around you, because if everyone around you's got freedom, then you've got it. If everyone has peace, if everyone has a piece of land to care for, and I'm not talking about exclusivity and privilege where everyone's still got the best pieces of land on beach fronts and mountain tops and all that has to be given up. Everything's for everyone to enjoy. All the worst bits is for all of us to take, if you still want to hang on to the idea of living in homes and that. We've got to get back into the lands which we destroyed through agriculture and animal husbandry, where all the diseases came from, because all the diseases came out of animals that were contained in pens and stables and all this stuff. It's all unnatural. There are many things that we've done wrong, because everything is supposed to be free, and we're supposed to be free, and we're not supposed to control anything, and that we work with the freedom of everything uniquely. But we gave up that magnificence. We don't see that anymore. We think we have to control, because we doubt the animal because we fear it. We doubt the snake, so we kill them because we don't want them near us. Everything of nature is not a threat to us. We are the threat, and they sense it. And that's why we say to people, when In nature, when you go to nature and you come brainwashed and you go and swim in the ocean and a great white shark comes and gets you, they sense the distortion in you, guys. Same as the alligators and the crocodiles and everything else of nature. When we are pure and sincere and we're coming from that true consciousness, the animals work with you. They revere you. They sense the purpose as custodians. And they willingly want to listen to what you want to do. They'll do whatever you want, as long as you don't hurt them or let them hurt anything else in that way by manipulating them. It's the distortion of the lies that we take on that the animals sense. And their job is to maintain the perfection of the dream of life, of paradise. Because the dream of life was created perfectly in that way. It's magnificent. So anything that wavers from that magnificent, another life form comes to transmute it faster than the speed of thought. In paradise, there was no roadkill on the side of the road. We didn't smell animals that were dying. It was all sorted out quick. Everything was perfect in that way. But we've interfered. We've destroyed everything. Well, now we've gone into nature and we heat it and process it and we call it food. And the consciousness of the living purpose of everything has been altered to now it's deaf and it's got no life in it anymore. And we eat it. It becomes distortion. We giving power to the distortion. We call it addiction to McDonald's and fast foods and rice and all the deadly whites. And it goes into dairy, meat products and dairy products, which are not supposed to be, those proteins were never meant to be in our bodies. Never meant to be in our bodies. That's another subject for another time. We go and do your homework on the internet and you can learn about that stuff. But the nature senses that distortion and its instincts is transmit. It doesn't rationalize like we do. Instinct, oh, my job, remove. It'll come and eat you. Drag you and kill you. It's doing its job. And we don't run around going, oh, bad white shark, bad this, bad that, bad this. They're not bad. They're doing their job. They're getting rid of the distortion. Because a man who's lost not being a man is distorted. They've got to get rid of it. Nature, the whole of nature's going to get rid of it all, guys, soon. There won't be very many of us around. We'll be swallowed up into a great composting. We call it the great composting is coming. And everyone who's lost is going to be used to create trees and create a whole wonderful nature out of it. We welcome it. And if we happen to be there amongst the living when this happens, well, great. If not, use our bodies as compost as well. We're never meant to cook food. We're not meant to be heating water and doing all these things. It's distorted. And that distortion and everything else we're doing to nature that we alter and twist it to become the synthetic products and the plastics and the steel and the iron and all these other things that we've altered, living consciousness in inanimate forms we call rocks and minerals. They're living too, guys. They have a purpose, a natural purpose. Everything has a natural purpose in the dream of life. And collectively, the whole wholeness of it sustains the magnificence of this dream. So we as the co-creator of this dream, we can come and have lives. If nature doesn't do it, the whole thing will collapse and fall apart. There'll be no dream anymore. It's all gone. So nature instinctively does what it can to protect it. Its job is to maintain the magnificence in a perfect paradise. So we can create children so they can experience it. Don't blame nature. Us, each of us, we're all responsible. We gave power to the lie. That's why we ate fast food. We gave power to the lie. That's why we turned on the television. We gave power. That's why we went to put our kids to school. We gave power to everything that's a lie. That's got us all in this mess. And we're the only ones who can stop it. And that means we've got to give up the lie. We've got to pull out. In this life. Not in the next life. We're magnificent. In this life. And we discussed this, what we call kingdom. Many want to come and work with us together. Not to follow us to follow them, to work together to create a living kingdom of hundreds and hundreds of us to show how we can live with no money, no government, no laws, no drugs. Where the elderly are freed from this, from their retirement homes and pensions and all that. Give them a purpose to provide wisdom back to the children. Give the children a chance to help with the elderly so they can cure their bodies. We work together in the gardens and the food forests. But nobody owns anything because we're not meant to own anything. We don't own our breath, guys. We don't own the drink. We don't own the water. We don't own nature. We can't own it. We work with it and be free with everything. But they taught us to believe. They put us under traumatic spells, so we own the spelling of English. We own the idea of my land. I own it. It's mine. My security. No, it isn't. The moment you claim that you own something, you need a system to protect what you claim that you own, which means you need force and enforcement. You need a political system, all kinds of things to protect what you claim you own. So you have to be brainwashed to believe that you own something. But look, you don't have to jump 10 foot across the room to grab your next breath. You've already got the breath. You've already got nature. We're all on land. We've already got the sun shining. We've all got it all, guys. And we're sitting here fucking quabbling over bullshit. Worrying about whose tomorrow is going to... We're worrying about everyone's tomorrow. We give it all up. It's not about black, red, white, race. It's not about being Aboriginal, non-Aboriginal. We're all brothers and sisters. We don't own anything and never have. We've been lied to about all this shit. So while you still think you believe you own something, you will fight for it. It's my land. Mine. I'm first there. I got it. We're the first race. We have a higher standing. We have a higher privilege. What about the multi-millions that were removed from everything, been destroyed? What happens to all these multi-millions? Including our family. What happens to us? If we go down those roads. See, we don't own anything. We never owned anything. We've got to give it all up. And it's while we think we own something that we're under the egoistic forces that bind us into the matrix, because in the matrix we have the fantasy of government to protect what we claim that we own. Because what we claim we own is in the matrix, is not in the living. Because in the living no one owns anything. Because our true consciousness makes us already who we are. We already got everything. We don't have to educate animals. They already got everything they need. It's instinctively done. If we don't interfere. If we don't interfere with children growing up by nature, they already got it all. They're free. And they have everything. We didn't suddenly arrive here today in this state. We're all squabbling over the crumbs on the tables of all this madness. We came from this, guys. We had everything. We still got everything. We're just doubting it. We doubt each other because we've learned to distrust. We've learned to distrust. And we live our whole lives out of doubt and uncertainty, which is the whole Freemasonic world. Because the Freemasons all live out of doubt and uncertainty. That's why they do their rituals. You see, when you look at these satanic rituals, they do all their orgies and they practice all their various horrific rituals and the murders that they do, let alone all the other things they do, because there's a lot of benevolent things in there too, guys. There's a lot of good people in there. But collectively, they are giving their life force energy into the bubble of that dream with their rituals and their gods and everything else that they believe, and their ego in there too. And they energize it. And through the generations, all feeding this nightmare, this hell, this matrix. They get caught up in the everyday rituals. Those children brought up, they get initiated into the ritual and they get seduced by the power of all their ancestors who gave power to this demon. And as well as them, because they've given their power to it as well, because they've accepted it. They get blindfolded for those that go through the initiations. They don't realize what they're getting into. And they go into oaths of death and all the other stuff that comes with this. Because they're all educated, they're all feared. Because the grand architect dreamt it that would get man on all sides to create chaos, to destroy the whole thing. Just so this man could talk to God, to prove that man wasn't perfect until he gave it up. That's how we perceive it. So you have thousands of Freemasons, you're politicians, and you cannot be in the positions of your authority in every area of the system, that is. And they come as nice people, as good people, but they're fucking murderers. They don't do anything to stop the murder, because if they were good people, they'd stop the politics. They'd stop the government. They'd stop the brainwashing. They'd stop all the injustice. They'd be spending a whole life stopping all the harm. So nature's no longer being hurt, no child's being hurt anymore, and all the communities are freed from these lies. But they don't. They willingly support it, but they have these wonderful, nice guises. That's why you see politicians kissing babies. It's bullshit. They sold out. Now's the opportunity for them to turn this around if they want their children to carry on. Because everything they've done to this point in their lives has been a great lie. All the judges out there, all those in the bar, all the same. You're on the same basket case. You're all fucking idiots. You don't realise what you've done. All those who believe in what they believe in, doesn't matter what the belief is, that's made you do harm and go to war, that's made you take from another man, to use and abuse men, women and children, for whatever reason. You as a police officer going and harming, you don't realise what you're doing and who you're worshipping, because you have placed hell as your God. And you've been lied to. You've been promised all this bullshit. I mean, there's a lot of young people get caught up in this stuff because they caught up with breaking and entering, doing crazy stuff. Some get targeted by Freemasons inside the police force, inside jails, inside government, inside Freemasonic lodges, societies, institutions, whatever. And they get given the opportunity, look, if you work for us and we get you to do what we want you to do, we'll give you access to the girls. You can have all the sex you want. You can fuck as much as you want. You can have as many orgies as you need. You can have all the drugs you want. We'll set you up with your homes. You'll have everything set up. We just want you to go out to take children for us. We want you to go and do all the dirty work. Because a lot of them are out there, guys. There are a lot of spotters and finders. They're all under orders. The Freemasons at the higher up, they keep themselves removed. They are in on it. They all get caught up in these rituals. They're all answerable to each other in their world. They're all fucking liars, a lot of them. Real liars. They're all in on it. They live for hell. Obama lives for hell. He's lying through his fucking teeth at all of you. He's laughing at you. With all the rest of them are laughing at you. But you've got to remember, they are all lunatics. Because they themselves have their great supreme leader laughing at them. Because he's laughing at everyone. He scammed all of you. Everyone. He scammed you all. You support harm. It means you worship the Luciferic forces of the intellect. Because that's where it comes out of education. If you're educated, you're a Luciferic soldier. You worship Satan. That's your God. Satanic thought is Lucifer, the intellect. It's illumination. Because that's what the Matrix is made out of. This is where all the trauma is connected to. Because it's not in nature. There's nothing to do with the living. Think about it. You don't own anything. Can you consider the possibility to let go? To let go. And learn to trust groups around you. We start forming groups to help each other. Now, there are many of us going to come together, create a kingdom here. We're going to do it right out in the open, here. Here. So all you involved in the federal police, all of you in the federal governments, state governments, local governments, we're creating a kingdom. We're just going to take land. Because you don't own it. No one else owns it. The priests don't own it. No one owns it. We're going to do it right out in the open. To show that we are free. Not to hurt anyone. To show a way out of this mess. So that you can live. This is a remedy for you. For your children. For your descendants. For the wisdom that you have earned, that you put back where the do no harm way of life unfolds for everybody. To show a way out of this nightmare. Fiona and this man take on that responsibility. We know how to do it. We've worked it out. Really worked it out. How many of you want to come and do it with us? Prepare to give up everything. Sell up your homes. Give up your land. Use the system. Either we buy a piece of land and use it and then remove the title deeds, or whether we just, in large groups, we just take it without hurting anyone and create a living kingdom. Read into it. Look into it. What kingdom is all about. How it works. Because that's the remedy. We've got to get back to how things were before our ancestors fell. During the time of man's fallen state, we will never ever find a remedy. You can't find it through spelling. You can't use spelling to find a remedy to get you out of spelling, because you're only perpetuating spelling. You're energizing the ego everywhere you go. The demonic forces that possess us under the spelling is all that's there still. Nothing's changed. You've got to step outside of it all. You've got to go back before man fell into this to find the remedy, which is what we've done. Don't listen to people like Mark Darwin or Mark Pytelek. Don't listen, and this is talking to Australians. There are so many people out there lying to you. Don't go into their courts. You don't need to go into their courts. You don't need to go into their system. Let them process the curse. But you've got to learn to let it go, so that let them have it. Let them experience the outcomes of their dreams, especially when your intent is that. Let them experience it. They have the right to experience their dreams. Let them have it. But don't you have to process it? We're going to run workshops. How many would like to come and get involved? Not to be under us, to show you what it's going to take. Because we need a way out. So we can all set each other free from being underneath each other down the line with no system to your family. You're not answerable to anyone. So even our generations that come out of our family are not involved in your family telling you how to live. We're just showing you what's wrong and what we're going to do to fix it so we can set all the children free from this nightmare. That's what this man's for. That's what I'm here. That's why I've pulled out for 10 years already to do this, to come to this. And we never say that we're better than you. We're not coming to be righteous or arrogant about anything. It's just simply we do not want to live in a world of harm. We don't know one to follow us, guys. We want to be forgotten, if anything. This man would love to just fall asleep on a hammock for 6 months and wake up and know, oh, we're in paradise. The system's gone. And just happily just meander doing what a man does, dreaming a man's life. And not be remembered in that way in the system. Would love that. And I think anyone who wakes up like this, you don't bring the ego into it. That's why this man does it with no money. All this work is given for free. We don't charge anybody. And we're not an organization or an institution. We're not a cult or a sect or a society. We're non-violent. We carry no weapons. We don't take drugs. We're not a think tank. We're not a secret society. We just live to get out of the system in this life and never to return in this life. That's what we're about. We wake up and go to bed. That's all we live for. If you want to do that, if you're prepared to sacrifice everything like we're doing it, get involved with us. Because the more of us work together, hundreds of us work together to get one of these off the ground, it becomes a precedence. And it spreads everywhere as to bring back how things used to be. Don't rely on their history books to tell you the truth about our ancestors. Or that we were cavemen and that everything was savage and beast. You've got to get past all that because you're reading their books who wrote it all. Don't believe their bullshit. All the best. I'll get another video up soon on the other stuff I mentioned earlier. Bye.
Within our world, watching dreams without blue skies floating by. Why are the gray clouds forming overhead? Forming overhead. I'm trying to breathe. I'm following the path mapped out from the start. Why do my dreams keep moving out of sight? Moving out of sight. Ooh, I'm trying to fly, but where's the light that keeps me down? The sunshine that I seek shines faintly through the smoke. Layers of fantasy, images that blind us to our lives. Blind us to our lives. And I'm trying to see. I'm juggling with my things. I'm I'm struggling with the cold, and I'm spinning in a vortex of burning words, of burning words. Ooh, and my head's on fire. Oh, where's the love inside my heart to wake me up from storyland, from my deep sleep? We'll save the forest, we'll save the mountains, we'll save the ocean when we save our lives. We'll save the children, we'll save the old ones, we'll save our earth when we save our lives by doing no harm. Ooh. We're living for the love that lights up in our hearts. We're living for the dream of a world of do no harm. We're living for our kin, our tribe of conscious men. We're living for the truth, no more waiting for saviors.